midnight, or Trump officials are going to be held in contempt. They haven't decided whether it's civil or criminal contempt. They were lathered up on this one, bro. What happened? Because you haven't heard a peep on it in MSNBC since this ruling came down by the Supreme Court. Why is this a big deal?
Well, I think the Chief Justice finally understands that these activist judges don't have Green Beret law clerks. And so how the hell do these judges think that you're going to order the president of the United States to negotiate with a foreign leader? A judge does not have that authority to order the president to negotiate with a foreign leader, especially on a compressed timeline like this, and get a result from that foreign leader to bring back an illegal immigrant into our country. This guy was from El Salvador. He was here illegally. He convinced an immigration judge that he was going to be persecuted in El Salvador. Okay, well, you know what? Send him to another country. He shouldn't be in the United States if he's here illegally. And for this judge to think that she can order the president to negotiate with a foreign leader is just crazy. And fortunately, the Chief Justice is starting to wake up. He's starting to get his judicial house in order.
Now, you say this. He ruled against us the other day. Why do you think this shows you that he's now focused on what he said about this is important enough that this could, because aren't they on the hook to actually give briefings tomorrow on this contempt? We have a whole nother thing going. Bosberg's got a contempt hearing going about, Bosberg trying to step in and be commander in chief.
Yeah, I don't know how Bosberg can think that his case is going to survive after the Chief Justice just did this administrative stay in a case that the facts and the law are a lot worse for the Trump administration on this one than the Tren de Aragua that Bosberg tried to stop. So I don't. I hope that the Supreme Court is coming to its senses. I hope the Supreme Court is stopping these judicial saboteurs. I hope the Supreme Court understands that if Bosberg is able to hold Trump administration officials in contempt for not turning around planes full of terrorists and bringing them back to the United States after this Bosberg the clown dangerously exposed this ongoing military operations 4 Saturdays ago, when he wasn't even the emergency judge that weekend. He took this upon himself to open up his courtroom, expose this ongoing military operation where the president is working with the Salvadorian president with a very sensitive military operation to get over 200 of the Western Hemisphere's worst terrorists the hell out of America. And Bosberg thinks he can expose that. Bosberg thinks he can order planes to turn around. Bosberg did not know the fuel levels. Bosberg did not know the security footprint in America. We saw the security footprint in El Salvador. Why the hell would we have had that same security footprint in America? Because who would have imagined that some whack job DC activist judge thinks he can order planes to turn around? So I hope that this is the chief finally getting his judicial house in order, because if Bosberg holds Trump administration officials in contempt, good luck, Jeb Bosberg, enforcing your contempt order, because I don't see it happening.
Okay. All day long this morning, there's been a huge buzz because Jonathan Karl broke it this morning on Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America that prominent conservative people in the judicial side of the conservative movement came to Jonathan Karl and said they are preparing lawsuits right now to go into court and to shut down President Trump's reordering of the global trade arrangements between countries. Your thoughts on this? This is, once again, every action that President Trump is trying to take as chief executive officer of the U.S. government or commander-in-chief for national security purposes is being thwarted by these courts. What do you think about this one? Because I hear they may be as close as tomorrow to be ready to file.
I think that these activist judges and these activist plaintiffs are election deniers, because President Trump campaigned on the facts that he's going to hire Elon Musk. He's going to set up the Department of Government Efficiency. He's going to secure our border. He's going to deport illegal immigrants, particularly foreign terrorists. He's going to impose tariffs on foreign countries to rebalance our trade that's been so out of whack for decades. And President Trump's doing exactly what he promised American voters he would do. And he got a broad electoral mandate to do it, 312 electoral votes, all 7 swing states, the popular votes. He has the legal authority to do this, both under Article 2 of the Constitution and his statutory authority. And I would say this: if you don't want the president to have so much power, maybe you should not give the executive branch so much power. Maybe you should follow the Constitution and have the executive branch with its specific, enumerated, and divided powers. And what's not specifically spelled out in the Constitution belongs to the states and to the people. But this idea that you're going to delegate to the executive branch all of this power, but the president doesn't get to oversee that executive branch, that we have unelected bureaucrats who are supposed to run the executive branch despite what the president wants, that's the very definition of a deep state.
Mike, I've talked to a number of congressmen that are sitting there going, they think it's time for hearings, particularly with Burl Howell and Boasberg, on these very topics. They're not saying start impeachment. They're saying, but they ought to come in at least for kind of public, I guess, depositions, or at least hearings by judiciary. I don't know if there's any momentum over there or movement over there. We've told the audience, hey, make sure you're doing your home title lock because we've got to have you on the ramparts. What is Article 3 calling for right now? Because I know the audience wants it. I know the MAGA base wants it. I know there's many, many congressmen that think it should happen. I certainly know the people in the Trump administration want it and want it to happen right away. Where do we stand with all this? You're kind of the go-to guy on this. Where do we stand?
I'm working very closely with Senator John Thune's office, the Senate Majority Leader, along with Senator Chuck Grassley's office, the Senate Judiciary Chairman, Senator Mike Lee, along with members of the House. We are working on legislation right now, various pieces of legislation to hold these activist judges accountable for their unlawful temporary restraining orders that aren't temporary. At least the Supreme Court finally fixed that problem yesterday, or Friday, where Justice Amy Coney Barrett switched sides from her position she took several weeks ago that unleashed this judicial sabotage. I said before that she's a rattled law professor with her head up her ass. Well, at least on Friday, she got her head out of her ass, and she finally understands that just because these judges call it a temporary restraining order, that doesn't mean it's temporary. When you're sending $2 billion out the door, that's not temporary. It's not coming back. And so it sounds like she's back in line. What I've been calling on the War Room Posse to do is to go to article3project.org. And I've never called on this before, but what Jeb Boasberg, this activist Obama judge in D.C., is doing is so unlawful and so dangerous. For him to expose and sabotage an ongoing military operation, I've never called this for this to happen before. I think the Trump administration had a constitutional duty to ignore those orders to turn around the planes. And I also think the House of Representatives must open an impeachment inquiry on Boasberg, because if he's sitting through an impeachment inquiry, he's not going to have time to moonlight as the next commander in chief, whatever Saturday he decides to go open his courtroom and expose an ongoing military operation.
And as you called from day one, the reason this is important, people need to go to Article 3 today. And you've got a script there, too, about the impeachment, even go by the hearing, or even more important than legislation right now, is that he's going down the path of contempt. He intends to basically chop block the Trump administration. It's what they want to do at midnight tonight. If Roberts hadn't stepped in, if they didn't comply by midnight, this is all they were taught. They were lathered up all day. Oh, it's going to be contempt. The question now is it going to be civil or is it going to be criminal? They're trying to go down. It shouldn't be lost. This is the reason I went to prison, was contempt. This is the weapon they try to use, correct? And Boasberg's very specifically trying to use it with Trump on the commander-in-chief issue. This is why we have to take action now, correct?
Yeah, Judge Boasberg is acting lawlessly and dangerously. He has no need to know anything about these flights. He has no jurisdiction. This is, at best, a habeas case where those prisoners can file a habeas petition in Texas from where those planes took off. Jeb Boasberg does not have the jurisdiction, does not have the power to be in this case at all. He definitely does not have the power to order the president to turn around planes during an ongoing military operation. Think about how dangerous that is. Think about how dangerous this precedent is, where a judge can expose and sabotage an ongoing military operation tell the president to turn around planes with 200 plus of the worst terrorists in the Western Hemisphere, and then the president lands the planes, thank God, and this judge thinks he's going to hold people in contempt. He's trying to figure out how his order was ignored. Hey, Jeb, you know why your order was ignored? Because it was completely lawless and really dangerous, right? Did you know the fuel levels of these planes? Did you know if there was a security footprint back in America to take 200 of the worst terrorists? Did you want to undermine the president's ability to conduct foreign affairs if you're going to embarrass a foreign leader after he has several hundreds of his law enforcement, military, and intel officials waiting for these terrorists and this high stakes operation, and you're going to embarrass that foreign leader so they don't want to do business with the president going forward? Hey, Jeb, go to hell, buddy.
Big victory on Friday. Another big victory today, but we need to get this done on Boasberg. Where do people go, Mike, on Article 3? Where do they go? What do they do?
Article3project.org, article number 3project.org. Donate, but only as much as you can afford. Follow us on social media. And the action item right now is let's impeach Jeb Boasberg's ass. Let's haul him in. Let's make the process the punishment. If he thinks he's going to take off his judicial robe and climb into the political arena and throw political punches, the Article 3 Project is very happy to throw political counterpunches.
Mike Davis, also your Twitter feed. It gets a little hot late at night. Where do people go?
MRD DMIA, my initials in Des Moines, Iowa. And thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mike Davis, and thank you for leading the fight.